Hey everyone, Jon-David Leonard. This is episode 13, believe it or not, of Keeping It Real, where we talk about all things real estate here on Long Island. And I'm joined by my sister, Danielle Leonard, and Alex Clanton. Relatively new to the team, but it already seems like you've been here a while.
It does.
I feel like I have been.
Welcome.
With the workload, I definitely feel like I have been.
All right, so I really am dying to just jump in and ask you what your impression of our team was when you started to get to know us, what it is today, and what maybe your impressions of teams were just leading up to us being introduced to each other.
Yeah, for sure. So, first of all, I'm Alex. Thanks for having me here, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. It's an awesome podcast that you guys have, and I'd love to be a part of it. But other than that, first impression of the team is, I got to say, I was a hard sell in the beginning. I know I was because we had to meet. I like to think about what I'm doing before I jump into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to make sure everything seems like what I'm hearing is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, you guys have been delivering on absolutely everything, which is tremendous.
So I appreciate that.
Did you stop there? No, I'm just kidding.
No, look, I appreciate that, but I almost am it's weird. Like before we started recording, we talked about like how uncomfortable we can be with compliments, right? The way my brain works is like, I'm almost preferring you to say like, well, it's 80% there, but we got some work to do. Because delivering on everything is like, really? Because I'm never satisfied with where I'm at.
For sure. And that's a good thing, you know, it's like we always want to improve and adapt and change what we're doing just to make it more efficient, you know, but I've been on other teams before. I've 8 years in the business, so yeah. I've started at a smaller brokerage where I learned a lot about rentals, then I went to Keller Williams where I learned a lot about buyers, went to EXP where I learned a lot about sellers. So I've always been taking these jumps and these moves, which I don't like brokerage hopping, but sometimes you have to look for those better opportunities. Mm-hmm. But
you gotta what is it? You got to kiss a few frogs till you find your princess or something like that. Princess. You ever hear that? Mm-hmm. You look at me like, yeah, Jay.
Right now. But no, I feel like at the end of the day,
I have.
What I feel is just when I joined the team, it's not just also what you guys offer and how you guys have the support and all the systems and platforms and processes in place. It's also the team collaboration. You know, it's like that's massive to have on a team, because if you have a team where everything is in place but the vibe of the team is not there or the collaboration is not there and you're kind of a floating solo agent on a team, you might as well be in a smaller brokerage with just a broker.
That's a good point.
That's actually a really good point.
You know, but this is more just, it's a solid team.
Yeah.
It's a solid team and it's a great environment to grow.
So I think, what was it? How were we introduced to Pete? I don't even remember how you came on.
No, so I know Dana. I know Dana from high school.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I know Dana from high school, and before I joined the team that I joined before, it was I don't know why, but I wasn't really looking this direction.
Right.
And I knew of the team, but that one I jumped a little quickly for, which I don't know. Either way, but at that point, it was I was talking to Dana. Dana was telling me a little bit about the team. I was like, you know what? I want to get myself back into production because. Right. I took a big pause from it.
So in your previous experiences, from what we talked about, without going into detail because it's not important, but like I got the sense that you got burned, and because of that, the things that you were telling me about what you wanted, what you were looking for in the team, I was kind of like, this is it. But I also understood that you've been burned, so you weren't going to jump quickly, and I knew it was worth it. You said you were kind of apprehensive, and you were. But I was just like, oh man, but once he sees what this is about, and that's the thing I got really excited about, and that's why I found it really worthwhile to show you, because the other thing you told me was that interested me was that someday you want to be a team leader. And I'm like, well, if you want to be a team leader, why not learn from a team that's already been doing it and gotten this far, right?
Exactly, 100%. And before, when I was with EXP, I did lead my own team for a short time, given no excuses. I mean, things happen, but It was a very tough market. Rates were almost 8%. Everybody that we were talking to was, yeah, no, I want to move, but call me next year, call me in 2 years when the rates drop, all these type of things where a lot of the newer agents on the team didn't see like that initial business inflow.
Right.
So it was tough. It was tough for me. It was tough for them. definitely one of the toughest years to start a team. But I mean, I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot from it. I learned things of to do, what not to do. And then obviously being with you guys, I'm learning a lot more of what to do and how to run a successful team.
And that's the point, because one of the things that we've learned, right? Like, so there's a lot of talk like you see on like social media where people are like memes and stuff like, hold up, I don't care that you've been in the business, 18 years or 30 years, like move over, boomers. But like the way we do business is like, no, actually we take what has always worked and we keep using it as long as it works, but we're also quick to adopt and change, and that has kept us fresh. And what I think is really important, based on what you talked about with your first team,
Right.
is like, A, obviously it's a learning experience, but B, if you're going to have a team, it's going to have to succeed and it's going to have to succeed in any market.
Yeah.
And so you learn that. And now you're going to learn this. And now I'm on our way here. I was talking to Sabine on the team, and I'm helping her with her seller, who has certain expectations of the market. But I also got on the phone with the agent on the other side to help her try to save this deal. And the agent on the other side is like, hey, there's these other homes that they're kind of interested in seeing. What does that mean? What does that mean? That the buyers have?
The buyers have choice, which means the seller's losing leverage.
Leverage, but they don't realize that because the
Right.
market's changing. So now, because we have this knowledge, we have this wisdom, and we've been in different kinds of markets, and that's the thing. Now you're in a place where if we are transitioning, like I'm hearing about what's happening in other parts of the market, in other parts of the country, that it's starting to turn into a buyer's market, I'm actually excited for that.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you because when that changes and we're going to be negotiating again, like really negotiating.
Yeah.
I know. I miss that.
You miss that? Yeah, me too.
It's been a seller's market for a little bit over 4 years at this point.
Well,
since COVID time, it just went.
It's going to be interesting to see, because we'll talk more later about the market stats, because it's really, I feel like this is a very interesting time in the market, because there's houses where, I have a theory, there's houses where I think the sellers are overshooting the mark, and those are the ones where they're giving buyers choice.
Well,
Because the numbers of the month supply of homes that we talk about still is a seller's market. And yet we're finding out there that buyers have more options and opportunities. But I also think it's because the sellers have expectations that the market's still doing this
Well, that's
when
what
it's
happens.
leveling off.
Right. So when the market changes, it's never clean. It's not like the sellers get a memo saying like, hey, the market, it's time to change your expectation.
Prices,
Hey, the price you were reaching for is no longer there. And most real estate agents, they don't have the courage to tell their seller, because they're going to lose. They're afraid they're going to have a seller that's mad at them.
Or they didn't know themselves, and then the seller had everybody has the expectation.
Right.
I even remember, market supply, market velocity helps us understand the basic health of the market. At the same time, I remember, because we've been in real estate for so long, and our father was in real estate, obviously, who you just met, before.
Totally was.
I just thought of a new title for our podcast.
What?
The Real Estate Boomers.
I'm not a boomer, but okay. I'm
No,
a dinosaur. No.
Dinosaur.
I joke. I always joke that I'm like a dinosaur, because I started so young that when I started real estate, I was like in my 20s, and that was not a thing. People were very unkind to me when I was 22.
What about you?
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
I started when I was 20. And honestly,
you were like on the cusp of it changing.
Right, yes. But also, working with an older demographic in the business as a 20-year-old, they're like, do you even know what a contract is? Do you even know how to help me with a house?
Yeah.
Do you own a house? I'm like, I live with my parents. But
Me too, when I started.
So it's like really trying to get myself out there.
How did you?
Was so hard.
Yeah. And how did you overcome that?
Started with rentals. With rentals.
That's
in Long Beach.
That's a lot of people do that.
Everybody has to start somewhere. So for me, it was starting with Long Beach rentals, and then when I switched to Keller is when I really started selling houses, and I was a buyer's agent.
So how long were you doing rentals?
2 years.
Okay,
2 years.
that makes sense.
So that, and also I was kind of juggling college. I was juggling what I wanted to do with life. So it wasn't my.
get
I
that.
wasn't full time. I was doing everything else. I was flipping cars in restaurants and all these different things. And then when I went to Keller, after my first year, that's when I was like, you know what, dropped out of college. I still have the video. And I want to make a video with it one day because it was like, that was my biggest thing of such a big decision, like not going back to school. And I remember I was sitting in this one class and she was just wasting time. The professor was wasting time. So she goes, next class, we're going to bring in Legos and get creative. I'm like, are you kidding me?
What?
$1,500 I'm paying for this class and we're going to play Legos. So I literally just took my backpack. I went into the lobby. I opened up my laptop. I was like, drop. Dropped everything. And then I called my parents. I'm done. They're furious. But now they're super happy. But
Are they? Good.
no, they are. But back in the day, they were like, go back to school, go get your degree, go do all these things. And I just knew it wasn't me. I knew it wasn't me. So that's when I made the transition to full-time real estate. In the first full-time year, I did about $9 million in sales, which was decent for the first full year. And then COVID hit and took a pause and back into it. But
What'd you do during COVID? Just hung out? Had some government
Ask
money?
that question too.
yeah, government money was going a long way.
It was just, the government was just like,
Literally. I was doing that and I was flipping cars. So it was just...
flipping cars. What is that? Tell me about that. What do you mean?
So I used to go to auctions. I used to go to, there's an auction in, what is it, Yaphank? It's called Odessa. So I met up with this one guy, I don't know, just right place, right time. I was flipping a few cars from Facebook Marketplace because my dad took me to Canal Street when I was a child and created a monster. So I used to like flip wallets and then colognes and then phones and then cars. It was everything I got my hands on. And then cars.
You always had sales.
You had
I
hustle, you
always
have a
had
hustle
sales.
culture
Always had
inside.
sales, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So with the cars, my mom hated it because I used to start buying like multiple cars and I would park them behind the fence in my driveway, but then I would always have one on my front lawn because my house is on like a busy street. It's connecting between America and Jerusalem. So there's a lot of cross
I
traffic.
know exactly where that is.
So it's on Meadowbrook Road. So
Yeah.
there's so much cross traffic. So I always kept the car on the front lawn. And within a day, it would be sold. So I would always just bring one out from the backyard, put it back on the lawn. So within like 2 months, there was a big dirt patch because there was no sun ever going in that spot. And my mom was furious. And my dad loved it because he used to flip cars.
Yeah.
So he was like, we should put a sign on the house saying like Alex's Garage. And my mom was like, get out of here. No more cars. So I ended up stopping cars after a while. So, and then full-time real estate. And then once I did full-time real estate, I never went back to anything else.
I want to hear more about Canal Street. That's interesting.
Scary times. Scary times. You know how many back rooms I went into to go look at Louis wallets and Gucci wallets? I was 14, 15 years old. I would go there with a backpack and I would try to negotiate a wallet down to like $10.
Yeah.
Once they said, all right, I'll give you one for 10. I
Yeah.
was like, all right, cool, I need 30. They were like, 30? I said, you gave me one for 10. Let me get 30 more.
Yeah.
So I give them $300. I would go home and just post them on Facebook Marketplace. And I would sell them for like $60, $70. People knew they were fake.
Yeah.
I wasn't ripping anybody mouth.
That's good.
To make sure we know that. But other than that, it was really just like selling it to friends and whatever. Facebook Marketplace also sometimes. But yeah, anything I got my hands on, I would always read. Always look for opportunities, you know?
That's awesome.
So
Wow.
one day we're going to make it into houses. I'm going to build up enough capital to like flip my first house.
Well, if you're open to it, I'd want to do it with you. So like, how would we do that though? I mean, like I think about this from time to time, but like,
I've been thinking about it this week.
how open-minded would you be to like taking a portion of your commission, committing to that and putting it aside and then like creating some kind of fund and then as soon as
doing it.
oh you are
Yeah,
okay
I'm saving up for that first investment.
okay because you have a lot of goals and you're getting married and like you got a lot on your plate. How are you dealing with that? Like
Getting married.
no, obviously not. Like you got a lot on your plate and you seem to you know, maybe it's just me being 46 and I feel tired now, but like, what? I'm sorry.
We had this conversation yesterday.
Well, you have a different, we have similar genes, but maybe yours are manifesting differently. I abused my body a lot more than you did though, too. Like I was doing crazy shit. I was jumping off our parents' roof.
I did that.
Not like I did. Stealing the car, all that stuff. Anyway, it's like, would you like to be our therapist?
I made him come with us. We took a car. Yeah, anyway. We took a car from We're like, come on. My friend and I were like, you have to come. Otherwise, because we didn't want him to tell on us.
I was little though.
He was
So they
little.
stuck
So we
me in the
started
car,
it.
so I wouldn't. I was an accomplice.
So
they
now,
made me an accomplice.
so now you're a part of this, so now you can't rat on yourself.
Exactly, and it worked.
And then we couldn't get the car in the right
Smart.
spot because it was a station.
Oh yeah, they didn't. They stole my parents' car. It was a stick shift.
Oh, it was really
Did you
funny.
get it out of the driveway?
We got
I
it
didn't
around.
drive.
They drove her
I
around
was
the
in a
neighborhood,
college,
but it was a
too.
lot of like stalling out. Like, yeah, that clutch must have been just
Every
fried.
stop sign was the killer.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
things that you have to admit to your parents years later.
Oh yeah. I'm at that age now where I start
You
telling
start-
my parents stuff that I hid from them years ago. And they're like, "Are you kidding?" I was like, "I moved out already. You can't get mad at me. You can't do anything." That's
No,
the best
that-
thing.
what's-
Moving
what's
out 2 years
crazy-
ago, best thing.
Well, yeah, but what's really crazy is when they start to tell you about the shit they got into, and you're like, oh, okay,
Right? Yeah.
Ah.
And my dad's got some crazy stories, and I'm like, "You're a polar opposite now from who you are now, from who you were." I'm like, completely different man.
Yeah.
And there you go. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious.
Where do I see
yourself
myself in 5 years? Business-wise, life-wise,
Anything.
everything.
Go with it.
Everything and anything. Okay. So, as much as I do love the team, having my own team
Yes.
in 5 years, so definitely want my own team. Business-wise, I would like. There's obviously like incremental goals that I have of income-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, obviously, money's not everything, but it's a lot. So
It's a lot.
So I would say I have my financial goals. I have my team goal. I want to lead a team, successful team, something like yours. And then life-wise, I want to get my first investment property this year coming up, 25.
Mm-hmm.
I want to at least get the first. So within the next 5 years, a realistic goal, I would say hopefully 4 investment properties.
Mm-hmm.
4 investment properties, a personal house, a wife, kids. Real life is happening very quickly. So
What does that look like? What does like real life mean? Like what is that like? What's a day in the life of Alex
So-
Clanton?
I personally think a lot of people at my age at 28, a lot of people hate that 30 is approaching. I love it. I love it because I'm like, life is just about a start.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm very
So
optimistic with that just
Yeah.
because
That's how I
it's
felt
like
too.
from 20 to 29, yes, you might be solidified in your career, but you're still learning a lot about yourself. You know,
Mhm.
I don't think you
Wise.
really know who you are until that, maybe not 100% this way, but like until wife and kids or spouse and kids are introduced to you, people change, things change, circumstances change. So I feel like you really learn a lot about yourself then. So within the next few years, there's a lot of growing and learning for me to do, life and business wise, but I'm super excited for it.
Where does
Can't
this
wait.
wisdom come from? How do you know this?
I don't know.
It just,
I listen
it's
to a
just-
lot of podcasts.
Ah, there
I
you
do.
go.
I listen to a lot of podcasts. I
Yeah.
hate reading.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I'm dyslexic. But
Could be.
just with podcasts alone, I love long drives. I put on a podcast.
Me too.
Before I go to
Same.
sleep, I put my earphones in, I turn on a podcast. Just things like that. You soak in all this information there.
You know, I think that's also the world we live in today because when I was his age, I was not where I am today. And that's part of like kind of what excites me and what inspires me is to see somebody like yourself with the like unlimited potential that you have, that I already see. And I asked myself, where will Alex Clanton be when he's 46 years old? And I'm just like, I can't wait to see it. So based on that then, and you talked about who you were at 14, 15, flipping wallets, then flipping cars, then going to college, then telling your parents like, guys, I'm out. And 2 years ago, you left the house. Each stages, you were Alex Clanton, but you were a different version of yourself.
Yep.
So when I ask you about where you're going to be in 5 years, the real question I want to know is, who do you have to be in 5 years to be that Alex Clanton?
It's a good question. I don't know, because I'm always chasing the better version of myself. You know,
Yeah.
there's just like you, I'm never satisfied. You know, me being on the team, like I'm very happy with what you guys offer and how you guys run everything.
Mhm.
But me personally, there's every aspect of my life, even if I think I might have this avenue or this aspect together,
Mhm.
I know there's so much growing and learning and just there's so much that I can be doing more of
Right.
to make it better. So who could I be in 5 years?
Who will you be?
Oh,
Not
who will I
could be. Who will? Oh, sorry.
Who will I be in 5 years?
Yeah.
I'll be just a better version of myself.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any other better answer, because year after year I'm learning from my mistakes. I'm learning from things that I did that I didn't do. I never look at anything like I regretted it. So every situation that you're presented with, there's always something to learn from it.
Okay.
I think the thing that's interesting too about when you're in your 20s is like, I feel like it takes time, and I feel like you're ahead because we try to avoid failure, right? Especially in your 20s. Like if you fail at something, you're like, oh, like you feel so bad about yourself. A lot of people anyway.
For sure.
And then you realize that you need the bad things to happen or the failure. But what is it? Was it Edison or something that said, I didn't fail, I just found 1,000 ways that it didn't work?
Thomas Edison,
Yeah.
yes.
For the light bulb?
Right.
That's right.
So I just, there's certain things that I find, and I felt the same way about turning 30. I was happy to turn 30 because when I turned 30, I had my first property, I had my first child, like I had hit what I wanted to at 30. I'm just saying.
No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at my own situation because, like, at 30, at 29, I was still messing around. I wasn't even living in the United States, and all of a sudden, like, I found out we were pregnant, and that a baby was coming. It was just like, whoosh, whoosh, and then that's what like kicked me into gear. So
Where are you living at 30?
Taiwan,
Really?
29, and then by 30, she was pregnant. Virginia was pregnant, and then we were on our way back. And 30, I think I turned 30 here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What made you move over there?
Story for another time.
Synopsis.
I was living. Okay, synopsis. I was living in New York City. I was doing real estate there at Douglas Elliman because I didn't want. I was like, okay, I want to try real estate, but I just don't want to be with my family. See how that worked out? Harsh. No, I just wanted.
I didn't want to do this.
I was in my
Here I am.
20s. I wanted to okay, I can do real estate, but I really want to live in New York City. That was the real goal. And then, and I was doing that, and then Virginia and I were already together, and she's like, we're in our 20s. We're not going to be in our 20s forever. Let's go do something fun. Let's go teach English in Taiwan for a year. Turned into 3. She got pregnant while she was there, and then we sold her stuff and came back. And then the rest is history. And
That's an incredible story.
And we told them, come back. We need you. Everything's amazing.
the business is
The
booming.
business is booming. We need you. And my nephew was born in 2007.
2007, going into 2008, when Lehman Brothers collapsed and the
Right,
mortgage, thing and everything, and it was a shit show. But an agent.
Were you
been
happy
into-
to be back at that time? That's it?
It was horrible. Like
That's
I came back. All right. So full transparency, because this is keeping it real, where we talk about all things real in real estate. We came back with savings.
Uh-huh.
We came back because we've been out of the country for so long, not using credit. Our, as high as your credit score could be, our credit score was high. We had no debt. And we went to stay at my parents' house with our brand new baby for a couple of months until we could get on our feet, and business was going to be great. Well, it wasn't, and we ended up staying there for a couple of years in our parents' house, raising our kid there, which turned out to be pretty amazing with mom.
It
was
full
kind of-
transparency. There was parts of me that was a little jealous because they'd put him to bed and then they'd have date night, and I was like, "You have date night? I can't even get out of my house."
Yeah, but I also had to live with dad, so
Fair. I had to live with dad too after
Pros and
college.
cons.
So
pros and cons.
It's like my sister. My sister lives at home because she had a baby pretty young, and it's great because she has all that support.
Right.
He's now 10, so now he's a little bit more self-sufficient, but just for her to be able to be at home and have my parents watch him consistently, and she could go to work. My mom's a stay-at-home mom anyways, so she's always home with my grandmother and my younger brother. But the amount of support that she has is the only thing that's keeping her afloat, because if she was living by herself, having to take care of a child at young 20s,
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, that was normal. Today's day and age, very different.
It's
very
different. It's different, but again, going back to finding out at 29 I was going to be a dad.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the question came from. I knew I wanted to be the best father I could be, and I wanted to do things differently. Because just to be straight, I wasn't sure I wanted to be a father. You know that. But now, that choice was taken away from me. And I wasn't resentful. It was just kind of okay, all right, this is going to happen.
Right.
This is happening.
It's real.
It's real. So I'm going to be the best father that I can be. But I've been spending my days surfing. I was making so much money teaching English in Taiwan. and I was working like 14 hours a week. I was just surfing the whole time. I'd walk into class, my face would be sunburned, I'd have sand on my toes, I'd be in flip-flops, and my board shorts would be wet. I'd be like, hey class, I'm here to teach you English today. It was wild, it was a wild time, it was awesome. And now all of a sudden I'm gonna be a dad. So I had to say to myself, who do I need to become to be the best dad I can be? And I think that just carried over to business, which is why I asked you, who do you need to be? Who's that person? And I'm not looking for like, well, I'll tell you, Jon-David, I'm gonna be well articulated, I'm gonna know the business, but like, as long as you have that vision in your head,
Sure.
and it feels real enough, and it's something to chase, that's worthwhile.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And I gotta say, I'm truly blessed with the family that I grew up with. My parents are together. My dad, I gotta say, like, I've never, and obviously I'm biased, he's my father, but
Yeah.
I've met a lot of fathers out there, and I'm like, man, my dad is
You
just...
met ours last night.